This is One on One. We are pleased to be joined by Jack Myers, the author of The Future of Men, Masculinity in the 21st Century. Good to see you, Jack.
Good to see you, Steve. Good to be here one-on-one with you.
Oh, thank you. Listen, I'm curious about this. Has masculinity changed that much, say, in the last, 10, 15, 20 years?
Well, if you broaden it out to 10, 15, 20 years, probably not. But the last 5 years in the generation, the post-millennial generation,
right.
the ages 17 to 27, 15 to 25, they're definitely changing.
Awesome.
The young men growing up today are not their fathers, they're not their grandfathers, and they're not even their older brothers. They're the first generation to have grown up in a more feminist world. Majority of them post-millennial young people have grown up in either fatherless homes or homes where the mother is the primary or equal wage earner. Most of their teachers in the schools they've gone to have been women. 60% of their classmates in college have been female. So they have a very different sensibility about gender norms, gender equality, and multicultural. They've grown up with it. It's part of their DNA.
Is it better for us as a society?
Well, it's definitely better for us as a society. They really come in, they're the first generation to grow up not believing that they're going to be more successful financially than their parents. And they're right in many instances. A larger percentage are still living at home with their parents even after they graduate high school or college.
Out of necessity.
Out of necessity, and also because the parents often don't mind and the kids don't mind. Very different than when I grew up, for sure.
Same here, because my parents were like, what are you still doing
Yeah,
here?
well, exactly. You're at college now, don't come home.
Exactly. So I'm curious about this. I hate to get so political so quickly, but we're taping this at the end of 2016. It will be seen after that. Donald Trump will be the president of the United States. Donald Trump, as a man, and the question of masculinity in the context of what you just described, loaded I know. Go ahead, your turn.
Well, I don't necessarily believe this is an opposition statement to Donald Trump to say that he personifies the negative qualities of the patriarchy in many ways. He embodies throughout his campaign, at least, the realities of misogyny, sexism, objectification. And it wasn't hidden during the election. He didn't apologize for it. It was the reality that many men felt, and many men even today are saying, look, that's normal locker room talk that he was engaged
sorry for
in.
interrupting, Jack. Two things. Number one, we're not going to go back and litigate or relitigate the election. It's not what we're here for, or to talk about it in that context. But he did say, the whole Billy Bush, the Access Hollywood tape, that is the way most guys talk. Now, my wife and I had a conversation about that, as I'm sure millions of other people did, and I didn't recognize the talk. I didn't recognize the talk.
I don't recognize it either, but let's acknowledge that it happens.
It does,
It
I'm
happens
sure.
in corporate boardrooms. It happens when groups of men get around on one level or another. The reality is it's not appropriate moving forward. And among these younger men, they don't talk like that. That's not their norm. And I'm generalizing a bit, but for the most part, they look at gender relationships very differently. They look at their interpersonal relationships very differently. Women are, the reality is that women are taking a more dominant role in schools and society. And young men, for the most part, embrace and support that. The challenges we're also creating, or in danger of creating, a lean-out generation of young men who feel disenfranchised, who don't feel like they have a place in the world.
Trump
are drawn to the angry men's movements and to the President Trump as someone who may have solutions for them personally. The reality is he won't be able to offer solutions to the issues that are really challenging us in a lot of when it comes to gender norms and multicultural norms. We do have a society where 60% of the college students, graduates today are female, where 2/3 of new jobs today are going to women primarily because they're more educated, where women under 30, childless and unmarried, are out earning men under 30 by 20% in cities like New York and in major parts of New Jersey. So you really have a different culture that's evolved. And Donald Trump is very much a personification of a culture that we're moving away from, and we're getting a retro reaction
But there's an attraction.
that.
Sorry for interrupting, Jack, but while you say a retro, moving away from, there's a moving
There's
toward.
a moving toward because it feels like a solution. It feels like an answer, whether it is or not and how it is or not. And I'm not judging whether he'll be a good president
forget about politics
or not.
there. I'm sorry for interrupting again, but it is not about politics so much. But it is the tone and the issue of masculinity and the perception of some have of what a man should be in a leadership position.
And we've got it's really two worlds. We've got those over 25, and we've got those under 25, and it's like we're in two different cultures. And I think for business, for politics, for all parts of society, we need to recognize and embrace those differences and not exclude those young people under 25 from our system. We have to rebuild our talent development programs in our corporations. We have to rebuild our sense of relationships and the power realities in the home and in the family with more to how do we bring young men and encourage them of all cultures to stay in their with their families and with their children. We need to create incentives and rewards for them when they stay together, when the dads continue to be a part of their children's lives, because we have far too many young men who have grown up in fatherless homes. We have far too many men who have grown up without positive role models as teachers, as nurses, as those in the library sciences. We need to encourage them to follow those careers. We need to encourage them to enter into relationships with a sense of equality in the relationship, as opposed to this patriarchal norm where the guy is the provider and the power base and has both the physical, regulatory, as well as the financial power.
It's a powerful book.
Thank you.
It's called The Future of Men, Masculinity in the 21st Century. The author, Jack Myers, has given us an awful lot to think about. I know I talked a lot about the President Trump, but there's so much more in this book that we need to learn about. Thank you so much, Jack.
Thank you.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by Wells Fargo, Caldwell University, Suez, Ready for the Resource Revolution, Hackensack Meridian Health, Hackensack University Medical Center Foundation, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, and by Century 21 Construction. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.